Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for attending this joint press conference despite your busy schedules and such short notice. We would now like to get started with the joint press conference of Toyota Motor Corporation and Panasonic Corporation. Allow me to introduce the attendants. From Toyota Motor Corporation, President Akio Toyoda. From Panasonic Corporation, President Kazuhiro Tsuga. Now, both presidents would deliver their opening remarks. Mr. Toyoda, please. Hello, everybody. I am Akio Toyoda. I sincerely thank you all for attending this joint press conference despite your busy schedules and such short notice. Today, Toyota Motor Corporation and Panasonic Corporation have concluded an agreement to study the feasibility of collaboration on automotive prismatic batteries. To solve issues currently confronting us worldwide, such as global warming, air pollution, the depletion of natural resources, and energy security, it would be necessary to further the popularization of electrified vehicles. In accomplishing such, when it comes to automotive batteries, which represent a key component of electrified vehicles, it can be said that further evolution in terms of performance, price, and safety, and the securing of stable supply capacity are pressing issues. Recognizing this, both companies intend to broadly study concrete areas of collaboration for automotive prismatic lithium-ion batteries to next-generation batteries such as solid-state, including procurement of the resources for such, all the way to reuse and recycling. Now, I would like to talk a little about my thoughts behind the agreement being announced today. Toyota has long been involved in battery development going all the way back to 1925. Sakichi Toyoda, founder of the Toyota Group, offered a prize of 1 million yen to encourage the development of storage battery. To give you an idea of the enormity of that amount of money at the time, the capital funds of Toyota Automatic Loom Works, now Toyota Industries Corporation, which was established the following year in 1926, was also 1 million yen. The envisioned storage battery was one that would have an output of 100 horsepower and could operate for 36 hours while being no heavier than 225 kilograms, no larger than 280 liters in volume, and having potential for industrial production. Known as the Sakichi battery, to this date, there has yet to be a battery developed capable of such performance. Perhaps Sakichi had already foreseen the arrival of the age of electrification that we are seeing today. More than 90 years later, in 2013, I had the occasion to welcome a particular individual to Sakichi Toyota Memorial House in Shizuoka Prefecture's Kosai City. The person was Mr. Tsuga, who is here next to me. A year after Mr. Tsuga became president, he visited the Sakichi Toyota Memorial House, which can be said to be the origin of Toyota. As I showed him around while talking about various things, the expressions on his face, his body language, and all the things he said made me keenly aware of his feelings towards the founding of a business and for the country, as well as his resolution as a person who has inherited a company. 4 years has passed since then, and today, in front of all of you, we have come to be able to announce our company's agreement under the theme of developing automotive prismatic batteries. I personally couldn't help but think that since our first meeting at the Sakichi Toyota Memorial House, there would come a day when we would be here together like this. The automotive industry is now facing an era of profound transformation, the likes of which come only once every 100 years. No longer can we expect the future by adhering to our current path. We realize that we are now in an era in which we must create the future using our wisdom and technology. What is necessary to create the future is the venture company spirit of wanting to make the world a better place and the spirit of getting better and better, the ever-present understanding that there is always a better way and better technology. Panasonic has accumulated its industry-leading capability to develop automotive batteries over many years, and Toyota has accumulated vehicle electrification technologies through the development of hybrid vehicles. Toyota also loves cars and is determined to never let them become commodities. Furthermore, both companies have a venture company spirit inherited from great inventors and entrepreneurs such as Konosuke Matsushita, Sakichi Toyoda, and Kiichiro Toyoda, who devoted their lives to the development of Japan. Today, what I want to communicate to everyone is that our agreement is one that is meant to achieve a more prosperous and more enjoyable society of mobility, and one that gives form to the desire that both companies, born and raised in Japan, would lead in the era of vehicle electrification. I humbly request everybody's warm support. Thank you very much.
Now, Mr. Tsuga, please. Good afternoon. My name is Tsuga from Panasonic Corporation. Despite the fact that it was a last-minute invitation, thank you very much for coming today, everybody. I will talk about my thoughts about the battery business and what I think about this collaboration. Our founder, Konosuke Matsushita, had the philosophy of devotion to the progress of society and the well-being of the people worldwide through our business activities. And with that corporate philosophy, the company developed. We took over that philosophy, and now we have the slogan of a better life, a better world. In addition to consumer electronics, housing, automotive, and solutions and other B2B business areas, we are trying to achieve better lives and a better world for each and every one of our customers. In the automotive industry, with the electrification of vehicles, we are seeing a dramatic change in the environment surrounding the industry. The industry itself is about to change drastically. In addition to that, we are seeing various initiatives worldwide. A better life, a better world is our slogan, but we need to create a society in which a better life is achieved through our activities. And that is the change that we are seeing in the automotive industry. Towards an evolution towards a sustainable society and the widespread use of electrified vehicles, batteries are the key device. And for us, it is a very important business. Under this background, we will continue to work with the vehicle manufacturers, and we are taking various actions from development to production. And Toyota this time called upon us, and we very much sympathized with and agreed with their high ambitions, and we decided to explore the possibility of a collaboration together. We want to meet the expectations of Toyota, and the two companies intend to move ahead with speed to create an effective framework. Next year, Panasonic will celebrating its 100th anniversary. As you can see in the changes in the automotive industry with the electrification of vehicles, the next 100 years will be a century of rapid change, even more so than the past 100 years. So in this situation, we cannot survive if we just continue to maintain this status quo. We will continue to have a challenger's mindset, capitalizing upon our strengths, and we wish to contribute to the widespread use of electrified vehicles. Please place expectations on us, and thank you very much for your attention.
Now we would like to open the floor for questions. We are scheduled to have the Q&A session for about 30 minutes. Both presidents don't have time to answer your questions after this meeting, so please make sure to ask your question here in this meeting. If you have any question, we will bring you a microphone, so please raise your hand and let us know. And please introduce yourself, your name and affiliation. And please clarify to whom you are asking your question. Any questions, please? Kagawa from Yomiuri newspaper. To both presidents, Mr. Toyoda and Mr. Tsuga, for the past 20 years, you have been working through the establishment of joint ventures such as PEVE, Prime Earth EV Energy, in the area of battery. So far, what is your impression and evaluation of your partner? And at this juncture, why did you need to further deepen your relationship through collaboration? And so you are announcing that you are going to study the feasibility of collaboration. Together with Denso, Toyota has established this joint venture company and already have an alliance. And so would there be a possibility in the future for other companies to join this alliance? Thank you very much. So allow me to answer your question first of all. Yes, indeed. For the past 20 years, we have been working with Toyota through Prime Earth EV Energy. And as the external auditor, I have been involved in the operation of Prime Earth EV Energy. We have been very serious and to contribute to the society. Being serious and the contribution spirit, I believe, is the major feature of our partner, Toyota. And looking at how Toyota is willing to make investment in terms of capex for the production of batteries, they were very serious, and we had to learn a lesson. In Tohoku region, suppliers for automobiles were not necessarily fully improved, and Toyota decided to open a new plant in the Tohoku region, and at that time we were working together and made decisions together. And so Toyota is very sincere and serious, and we have many things that we can learn from them. So why now? What's the reason for this possible collaboration? In terms of automotive batteries, we have this cylinder-shaped battery that we have accumulated our know-how. But what would be the new areas to challenge? It would be the prismatic battery. That would be the focus of our collaboration. We need to maintain the challenging spirit, and for this collaboration, Toyota had made a first step and approached us about to challenge this new prismatic battery. We decided to work together. Now let me answer your question. Well, actually with Panasonic, we have this history of 65 years. It was in 1953 that we first worked together for the radio, well actually noise prevention of radio technology. And then for 20 years, we have been working together through this joint venture company, Prime Earth EV Energy. I've always been telling my people to always make better cars. So electrification is one of the major transformations that only comes once in 100 years, having to make ever better cars and collaborating with a battery manufacturer like Panasonic, we should continue our efforts to come up with ever better cars, to have this conversion of this automobile manufacturer and a battery manufacturer. And we have accumulated our know-how for electrified vehicles and hybrid vehicles and FCVs, whereas Panasonic is a leading company in the area of automotive batteries. And both companies, since the founding of the company, have strong enthusiasm for manufacturing. And I think it was a fate for us to come together to work for this collaboration. Now, what about other companies participating in the alliance? Of course, we're not to work behind closed doors, and we would like to offer opportunities, if any, to work together with other companies. And with the collaboration for the realization of this automotive prismatic batteries going forward, we would like to work hard.
My name is Kishimoto from Chunichi newspaper. I have a question about the development framework. This question mainly goes to Mr. Toyoda. Lithium-ion batteries and full solid-state batteries. Mr. Toyoda mentioned that these will be a part of the scope, but you mentioned that you will be aiming at industry-leading prismatic battery for automotive. Toyota already mentioned that you are aiming at commercializing full solid-state batteries in the early 2020s. So you already mentioned that. So what you have internally been doing will be a part of this collaboration. Is that what you are thinking of? So will that be a departure from your conventional thinking? Electrification of vehicles is what we are facing in the automotive industry, and the key would be batteries. Japan does not have any resources, and in order to survive in the era of a major change, we need to develop competitive batteries so that we can provide stable supply of batteries. With regards to battery development and supply, there are many challenges. Existing battery companies, automotive companies cannot solve all the problems themselves. The major scope of this collaboration will be high-capacity automotive prismatic batteries, a solid-state battery, including these next-generation batteries will be the target. For automotive prismatic battery, we can capitalize upon the strength of both companies, and both companies have accumulated technology and market data, and we can utilize these to become better than what we have now. We can produce, we can take up the challenge of making better batteries. For our next generation batteries, we will continue to study the possibility.
Imamura from Nikkan Kogyo newspaper. A question to Mr. Toyoda. Centering on European auto manufacturers, EV and electrified vehicles are being promoted, and they have this mid to long-term business plan for electrified vehicles. So what is your image of these electrified vehicles over the medium to long term? To be specific, if you have a specific model in mind, please share that with us. Well, the automotive industry is encountered with global warming, depleting natural resources, and energy issues, and including the European manufacturers, all the auto manufacturers are working hard to address these issues. I think there are two important rules that we need to abide by. One is zero-emission vehicle regulation, and the other would be the fuel economy regulation. So these are the two different sets of regulations that the auto industry would have to comply with. With regards to the zero-emission vehicle regulation, together with EV and FCV, we will address the requirement for the fuel economy regulation. Hybrid vehicle and plug-in hybrid vehicle, PHV, would be the models that we would comply with. And recently, the zero-emission vehicle is highlighted. However, in terms of the number of units addressing the fuel economy regulation, the number of cars that comply with this fuel economy regulation is overwhelming. And Toyota have long been working on HV and EV, FCV, HV, PHV. These are all electrified vehicles. So we take pride in the fact that we have this full lineup of electrified vehicles. So Toyota is in a competitive advantage position in terms of hybrid technology. Around 2030, out of the total sales of our vehicle, approximately 50% would be sales coming from electrified vehicles. Electrified vehicles means EV, FCV, HV, and PHV, everything included. Then in terms of breakdown, electric vehicle and fuel cell vehicle in total 1 million, hybrid vehicle, plug-in hybrid vehicle about 4.5 million, so in total about 5.5 million vehicles that are electrified. So Toyota takes pride in the fact that Toyota has a full lineup of electrified vehicles, and in order to support these electrified vehicles, it is essential that stable supply and improved performance of the automotive battery would be realized. And unless we have this mechanism, which is comprehensive, to allow reuse and recycle of batteries, I don't think our electrified vehicle scenario would be perfect. So we would like to collaborate fully with Panasonic to this end. May I ask another question?
This question goes to both Mr. Toyoda and Mr. Tsuga, probably. The first question was referred to the Prime Earth EV energy. Will the positioning of this company change with this collaboration agreement, or will both companies continue to focus on PEVE? There are many possibilities. So, including all those possibilities, we will start exploring possibilities. So, at this point, no assumptions are being made. A better, more friendlier to the earth, more sustainable companies are what we are aiming at, and as such, we will start studying the possibility of collaboration. So if you can be patient and wait a while. Mr. Tsuga, do you have anything else to say? Now this time we are focusing on the prismatic battery. And this is an area in which we have collaborated with Toyota for a very long time. So we will look at the overall picture to try to identify what is best. So we are not excluding anything. But when it comes to PEVE, our equity ratio has come down significantly. So I believe this is something that the Toyota side will decide.
Thank you. My name is Shinryo from Magazine X. Two questions. Recently, Mr. Toyota has attended a press conference announcing a marriage, if you will, with the assembly manufacturer. But with this leading battery manufacturer, horizontal collaboration, if you will, is what you are announcing. And of course, both companies have a group of suppliers. So, is this collaboration including your family of suppliers? The suppliers that back you up, are they going to collaborate as well? So how's the relationship going to change? And the second question has to do with Toyota Way, so a question to Mr. Toyota. And so recently you had this event to allow us to learn the history of 20 years of Prius. And battery, initially you said, well, at least your engineers said that batteries do not necessarily need to be developed internally. And Mr. Yaehashi talked about Toyota Way not necessarily meaning developing everything on its own, rather to develop world number one. So this collaboration that you are announcing, is this on the line of extension from the Toyota Way, or for the electrification of vehicles going forward? Are you trying to prioritize the strengthening of relationship with specific companies like Panasonic? So far, we had alliance arrangements with various car manufacturers, and this time we are considering collaboration with Panasonic, but the basic spirit and principle is to come up with even better cars. So going forward, 100 years from now, cars should be at the center of mobility. It should never become commoditized. And in the Japanese language, cars should have the prefix I, meaning love. And considering the electrification of vehicles, the key would be batteries. And for coming up with even better cars, we need to develop together even better batteries. And so we are announcing that we have signed this MOU to study the feasibility of collaboration. Now, electrified vehicles need to be adopted by the society, and there needs to be further penetration. Otherwise, it cannot contribute to the global environment. And the partners that we have been collaborating up to now should be engaged in our undertaking so that it would for sure contribute to the manufacturing of ever better cars. Now, I think the gist of your question has to do with the principle of Toyota to try to develop internally as much as possible. But the automotive industry is encountered with a major transformation, a kind that would only take place once in 100 years. And so we have to navigate uncharted waters. And we have to keep navigating without one single right solution. In a situation like that, speed is critical. And if speed is critical, developing everything on its own, or technology, a very specialized technology, to be utilized to prevent vehicles not to be commoditized, is not necessarily the only way going forward. So we are not obsessed with internal development for everything because we need speed.
My name is Momota, a journalist, and questions for both presidents. Mr. Toyoda, you always use the word Aisha, which is a love of cars, when you talk about not being commoditized. But when there is a high likelihood of cars being commoditized, how would you describe the identity of EVs, not using the word Aisha? To Mr. About Tesla, you have 18650 cylinder-shaped battery, and also I think there's also a Model 3. But so is this alliance totally different from your Tesla business? So as I mentioned in the beginning, we have to make the number one battery in order to survive. We will study the possibility of collaboration with Toyota, but the definition of number one will change with the passage of time. And according to my understanding, if you just look at batteries, 18650 and 2170, these cylinder-shaped batteries would be the number one batteries for EVs. That is the current status. These batteries are being used by Tesla now. But if you look at the future, where do we see growth? Or which existing car manufacturer will play a major role in electrification, and what type of battery will they require? That will be a different story. So for prismatic batteries, high capacity safe batteries are required, and also the shape will have to be conducive to a design of vehicles, and that would be a challenge. We cannot do this alone. So we are very grateful that Toyota called upon us this time, and we are willing to work with them. So that is why we mentioned prismatic batteries in this announcement. I wasn't sure about the question. The microphone is not on, so we cannot hear the person who is asking the question. Now, talking about EVs, there are companies like Tesla, and that's their identity. In the past, when it comes to EVs, the range or the charge times are issues. That's what was said in the past. But what Tesla showed to the world was that the acceleration, the good acceleration of EVs, I think was shown with the initial Roadster. So they showed that there is a brand value in electric vehicles. And if there is a brand equity or brand value, customers were willing to call it Aisha, or the vehicle that they love. A brand value tended to go down when it came to EV. In the 86 electrical vehicle, 86 electric vehicle version, I drove that car and I was asked about the impression. I said, this is an electric vehicle. But if customers say this is a 86 instead of an EV, that would be a better answer. So we will make efforts toward that end. So creating cars that were called Aisha, or cars that they love by customers, is something that we will continue to work on. So I hope you will continue to support us.
Aoyama from Asahi Shimbun. I have a question about the production system. So Toyota making inroads into the production of EV or electrified vehicles. Currently, Panasonic supplies batteries to Tesla, and I think the production capacity would have to be expanded quite dramatically, including the overseas market. Would there be a possibility of constructing jointly a battery plant, or just like what you're doing with Tesla, is there going to be capex going to be planned for new investment? Well, inclusive of that aspect, we are going to from now on study the details. Well, in 2030, or until 2030, Toyota would like to, out of the overall sales, electrified vehicles, meaning EV, FCB, HV, and PHV, be 50% of the total sales of Toyota vehicles. So with that in mind, both companies would study the details of how we can collaborate. And you don't think that battery supply is becoming a bottleneck? Well, currently, hybrid and plug-in hybrid. Well, this year it's 1.47 million. And plug-in hybrid is about 50,000 units. So we're trying to increase this number of units to 4.5 million by 2030. And the people in the company may say I am talking about a very wild dream, but we are really going to make a major change in how we navigate our business, and that is because the speed of the business is getting faster. And I think there are two important things that determine EV. One is the speed of regulation, and the other is the speed of battery development. That would determine the speed of battery development. So right now, the speed of development of batteries are not up to the speed of regulation. I think that is the reality right now. The batteries currently are very expensive and heavy, and the mobility to carry those batteries are EVs. That is the current situation. And in order to change the situation by 2030, we have to change what we are doing. And so together with Panasonic and other companies for alliance, we have to work together for better batteries and cars.
よろしいですか。日経新聞の工藤と申します。
My name is Kudo from the Nikkei. I have two questions. First, to both presidents. In 2030, 5.5 electrified vehicles, that number was mentioned, which is a large volume. To supply those, you would need human resources or facilities and funds. For these, how much are you expecting? And between the two companies, what kind of collaboration do you think will be necessary? That's my first question. And my second question goes to Mr. Toyoda. You mentioned Japan does not have any resources, but when batteries are more widely used, reuse or recycling system will be needed in the society as a whole. So by collaborating between the two companies, what kind of role do you think you can play towards that end for OEMs other than the group like Nissan, Honda? With these companies, in which areas do you think you will need to collaborate with? 2030, 5.5 million as compared to the current 1.47 million. For a long time, Toyota has been working on hybrids and plug-in hybrids, and still the ultimate number is more than 3 times the current number. So I think they are determined to take up that challenge. And we will not be threatened or scared by this challenge. In terms of funds, human resources, and other aspects, we will focus on the importance so that we can support the thinking or passion of Toyota. That is something that makes me think about anew standing on this podium. But when it comes to specifics, it is not something that I can mention now. But in terms of feeling or passion, that is something that I am feeling stronger than before. For resources and global warming, we are hoping to make a contribution, and we need to meet the expectations of electrified vehicles. And we decided to explore the possibility of collaboration because of that. When it comes to electrified vehicles, it goes without saying that batteries would be a key component. Everybody knows that. To realize the #1 prismatic automotive battery, that is our aim, and we'll work together towards that aim. A richer and a more enjoyable mobility society is something that we are aiming at through this potential collaboration. For 65 years, that is even before I was born, the business relationship with Panasonic has continued. So we would like to continue to learn from ourselves so that the two companies we are hoping that will lead the trends toward electrified vehicles, the two companies that were born and brought up in Japan. A richer and enjoyable mobility society and leading the trends toward the electrified vehicle. That will continue to be the pillar when the two companies discuss future possibilities.
I'm afraid you have so many other questions that you would like to ask, but this is going to be the very last question. Shoji from Nikkei Business. Question to both presidents. About solid state, you said that you are going to work together for the development of solid state battery. Working with Panasonic, do you think that the development of solid state batteries can be realized earlier than early 2020s? So would the solid-state battery be the main target of the development ultimately? Well, through the mass media, there was already a report that Toyota would like to commercialize solid-state batteries in their automobiles. And this is something that we heard in our discussion. But I don't mean to be presumptuous, but if you can shift all at once to solid-state batteries, investments that you have made so far would be wasted. And it's not that easy for the society to shift totally to solid-state batteries. So that is our understanding of the trend of the society and batteries. Having said so, Panasonic has been going ahead with the research of solid-state batteries, and we know that Toyota is also studying solid-state battery, and we know that there's going to be a limit of lithium-ion batteries. So by the time the limitation is at maximum for the lithium-ion batteries, we want to be fully prepared for the lithium-ion to shift to solid-state batteries. Would that be 5 years from now, 10 years from now? I don't know, but we need to be fully prepared. And to do so, rather than working alone, if we can collaborate, it would be more productive and effective. So, going forward, both companies would study.
そろそろ予定の時間も参りましたので、この辺りで
We have used the time we have today, so let us close today's press conference. After this will be the photo session, so for those who have cameras, please be prepared for the photo session. With this, we conclude the photo session. Thank you very much.
それでは、終了させていただきます。本日はお忙しい中、どうもありがとうございました。どうもありがとうございました。